Hey, you all, it is Wednesday, and it's Wednesday at noon Pacific time, and I am here to talk to you about solo versus CEO thing. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time to see if anybody hops on. That's great. If they don't, that's great. And we can see you in the replay. So the lesson I learned today is that if you wear a mask when you're wearing lipstick, it's a mistake. And so I now have a mask that needs to be washed. And luckily I have a couple more, but that was kind of stupid. Hey, Rose, thanks for joining me today. Good to see you. So let me start at the beginning. I'm Elise Tager. I'm a business coach for ambitious female entrepreneurs and creator of the Solo to CEO program, if you haven't met me. And I do Wednesday Facebook Lives every week with tips, with coaching, with some interviews. I'm here every week so I can make sure to talk to you and not miss contact with you. So one thing to know about these Facebook Lives is I really like interaction with people. I don't like to talk at you. I'd rather be talking with you. So if you are on live with me today, I'd love it if you had any comments, if you drop them in the comments section or anything you want to share. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and drop comments in the comment section as well, because I circle back and take a look and I respond to whoever has something to say. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so let me get started here. So this topic came up because two clients that I was working with this week had the same issue, which is they are very, very busy. And their solution, hey Heather, thanks for joining. Their solution to how busy they were, was to put their head down and try to work it all in, try to get it all in. So their main focus was getting more packed into a day. And I want to tell you that is the best way to stay supremely stuck in your business, meaning you're never going to get out of that. I have too much to do. My hair's on fire. I can't get out of this rat race. If your mindset is in just watching, trying to make sure that you're getting as much as you can done in a day. So I think, as we all start our businesses, we're usually solopreneurs and we have to do it all. We have to do everything from marketing to sales to servicing the clients to taking out the garbage to everything. But as you go on in your business, you're going to have to develop abilities to lift yourself out of that so that you can become the true CEO of your business. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. So this is key. This is probably the key thing that is going to make the difference between you being able to grow your business. The key is to transition from worker bee to being the leader of your business. And by worker bee, I mean you're the one who's doing all the work. This is something that has to be, so let me just to describe this a little bit in more detail. It might be that you have your head down. You are very invested in getting it all done, getting more done in a day, packing more into your schedule. And everything that comes up is a challenge because you have to get more done in a day. The muscle that you have to start working, the mindset that you have to start working with is not how can I get more done in a day, but how can I get this off my desk? Now that doesn't mean that you have someone to pitch it to immediately, but the muscle that has to be exercised is your immediate go-to is not, oh my God, how can I get this done? But it is, do I need to be doing this? Hey, Pharrell, thanks for joining. Do I need to be doing this? Do I need to be doing this? How could someone else be doing this? And really, in the very, very core of it, it's, can I get this out of my desk so I can be doing bigger things, bringing in new clients, bringing in more revenue, being the visionary for my business? Do you see it's a mindset shift? It's not clutching, can I get it all done? But, lifting your head up off the desk, which is the metaphor I use constantly. So head down versus head up. Head down means you've taken so many productivity seminars that you feel you can conquer it all, versus being able to say, okay, I need to be able to get someone else involved in this so that I can lift my head so that I'm doing other than just the worker bee activities. So let me walk through. Does this ring a bell with people? Are you guys finding that your focus is keeping your head down and getting it all done? Just drop a yes or a no or a thumbs up or whatever so I know that this resonates with you. If that's your go-to, your first automatic reaction is, oh my God, I've got to get even more done in a day. I want you to start thinking more about how can I get less done a day, but more of the right things done in a day. So let me talk a little bit specifically about what solopreneur think is versus CEO think. So solopreneur think might be, and tell me if this resonates with you, working harder, doing more, being more efficient so that you get more done. And so many of us in the solopreneur stage take productivity courses, read productivity books, get yet one more journal, have one more application that helps them be more productive. It's all about getting it done, getting it done, getting it done. So you're working harder, and that's how you're going to get through this. Solopreneur think few boundaries, right? You don't set boundaries so that you actually have the ability to step away and either have a life or start acting as the CEO of your business. So I talk a lot about CEO time blocked out on your calendar, where that would be I take half of Friday afternoon or Friday morning, depending upon what my schedule is, to set aside 3 hours to think about where am I taking this business? Where do I want the business to go? How did I do last week? Are my key performance indicators, where are they? Have I gotten enough new customers in? Have I gotten new prospects in? Did I do enough webinars? It's my CEO think time, so that I'm really measuring and acting, making sure that I'm acting as the CEO. So if you're not able to set those boundaries for yourself, you're never going to be able to act as the CEO. So if you're always responding to a call from a client, or if you're always responding to emails, or if you're on your email constantly, or if you're set up in Voxer, which I hate, you are not setting boundaries about when you are accessible and when you're not accessible. You have to set boundaries so that you aren't always working in worker bee mode. You have to be able to step away from what you're doing. So in that same vein, solopreneur think is also having little respect for your own time and your own life, having little respect for your own time and your own life. You are the one that has to decide what's going to be successful for you in this business. And I'm not just talking about revenue. So, what does a successful business mean to you? Does it mean that you're only working 3 days a week? Does it mean that you have time to hang out with your kids? Does it mean that you only work 9 to 5? Does it mean that you have 10 people underneath you so that you're actually only acting as a leader? You get to decide, but you're the one who has to make that happen, because no one else in your business ultimately is in charge of you. Entrepreneurs and solopreneurs aren't accountable to anybody. So you have to be one to set those boundaries. Please. It might be also, again, we're talking about solopreneur think, it might also be that you're coming from a position of scarcity. And during this crazy time, it's very easy to be coming from a position of scarcity. Scarcity of time, scarcity of money, scarcity of clients. Where's my next client going to be coming from? If you're coming from a position of scarcity, Miss Solopreneur, it's very hard to take a step back and elevate yourself so you can start planning for the future, planning for your success, making sure that it happens. And in the Solar CEO program, which I'll tell you about in a second, or Launchpad, we talk about how you do that. But again, you've got to be able to not come from a position of scarcity, which I know is a challenge right now, but it's something that we all have to sort of hold ourselves accountable to. Also, solopreneur think is a tendency to overcomplicate things, right? And again, everybody I work with, every client, every student that I have, my intention is to get them to simplify, 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 because it's in the simplification that you're going to be able to really hone in on who your target audience is, what your best offer is, what your strengths are, and really make that hum so that you can scale it to get yourself out to the most number of people. The more complex you make things, the more scattered your business is going to be, the more scattered you're going to be. So simplification is critical. And most solopreneurs tend to overcomplicate because they think more is better, and more is not better. So simplification is better. Also, solopreneur think is not having systems in place or having very few systems in place. So, do you have a system in place for onboarding a client? Do you have a system in place for what else? Prospecting, for closing clients, for working with, if you do have somebody working with you, do you have a communication strategy set up with them? Do you have systems in place so that this is just plug and play and you can eventually hand what you're doing over to other people? Most solopreneurs are very caught up in the doing of what they're doing, right? They're not thinking about, how would I get myself out of this? How would I rise above this? The way you do that is to set up systems so that you can hand it off. And if you're not ready to hand it off, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you have something in place that you can then turn over when someone is ready to take on, when you're ready to take someone else on. Julian Boyle, thank you for joining us. So good to see you. All right, so that's solopreneur think. I don't know how much of that resonates with you, but again, I think the overall theme is when you're stuck in solopreneur think, your head is down. You are the worker bee. You're trying to jam more into an hour a week a day. And that's your mentality. And that is your go-to default. And so what I'd like you to encourage you to do is start exercising that CEO muscle. So here's some CEO think. You're constantly looking for ways to get out of worker bee mode. So when you find yourself repeating an activity or doing something that feels like, someone who's maybe better than you are at this, or something that's strictly administrative, your go-to thought is not, ugh, can I get it all done? But how could I get someone else to do this for you? How could I get this off my desk? So you're already trying to problem solve. That's the difference. You're already trying to problem solve around getting it off your desk versus getting more done. So that's the first thing. You're always looking for ways to grow, not keep up. That's a big difference. How can you grow and not just, be running in that hamster wheel? How to use your time strategically? And again, I don't think we as solopreneurs spend enough time thinking about ROI as far as the investment of time goes. Where is your time going? Is it going into the right place? Are you doing the right things? Are you spending too much time in social media? Are you spending too much time networking? Are you getting a return on the amount of time that you're investing, Ms. CEO? This is critical. You have to make sure that you're making sure that you are involved in revenue generating activities, not administrative, get it done stuff. You're working on your business, not in it. The other thing I want you to think about when you're moving into CEO think is what are you going to measure to assure results? And I'm sure you've heard that phrase where what we measure improves. As long as we can quantify, it's going to get better. So on a weekly basis, you want to make sure that you have a slot in your calendar, that CEO time, where you're measuring how you're doing. Right? How many outbound calls did you make? How many discovery calls did you have? How many customers did you talk to? How many emails did you respond to? Whatever you choose to measure, start setting up a system so that you are measuring yourself against a goal, so that you're holding yourself accountable. So those key performance indicators are going to help you start thinking in terms of being a CEO. And again, that's something that has to be your default mechanism, not something that you forget to do, or you don't feel like doing, or Friday rolls around and you're just not in the mood. This is, you have to hold yourself accountable to being the CEO that you want to be. So the other thing that CEO think is always be thinking about building your team. What would the next person be doing? What are the activities that are on your desk right now that you would like to get off your desk tomorrow? Start developing systems to get them off your desk tomorrow. And when you're ready, start looking for the person that will be getting that off your desk, that will help you be getting that off your desk. So again, it's a mental default that you're going to start exercising, getting it off your desk, not doing it all yourself, rather than how can I get this all done? You get the difference? It's really a difference in how you perceive this. So this came up during a coaching call with a client this week, who she's running a bang up business, and she has 6 people working with her. So she's not a solopreneur, but she's still has a tendency to think like a solopreneur in that she's much more in worker bee mode than she really should be, and she's not thinking about. So she ended up talking to me about in our coaching session was what was on her to-do list. And it was, a mile long. And we spent time talking about, why is that on your to-do list? Why haven't you given that to Brian or to someone else so that they actually can be doing it instead of you? And her default is, I can do it faster. I can do better. I know what I need. And it was almost, as I say, it was a default. She had to start thinking about not thinking that way. So this is what I want to encourage you to do. So I have a challenge for you this week. I'm running out of charge, so hold on one second. So sorry, I thought I was plugged in, but I wasn't. So I have a challenge for you this week. Start thinking, hey Michelle, thank you for joining. So here's my challenge for you this week. Start looking at the way you think. What is your default? Are you defaulting into solopreneur think? And I just described some of those things around solopreneur think, especially how can I get it all done? Monitor yourself this week. Are you thinking in solopreneur think? Is that your default? Or do you have some time where you are thinking in CEO think, right? So that would be, how could someone else do this? Why is this on my desk? Why is this my to-do list? Why is it still okay to me that I'm still doing this, right? It's a difference in perspective. And what I'm really asking you to do is, Pharrell, it's a mindset shift. She says, it's a mindset shift to realize that it's actually more efficient for you to delegate a task, even if they do it less efficiently than you do initially. Yeah, and Pharrell, that's a big step for a lot of people, that whole process of delegating. First of all, you have to think about, what is the task that needs to be delegating? What are the steps to get that task done the way you want it done, right? It's you want to make sure it's done as well as you could have done. So there's a systemization that has to happen around that. There's the training of that other person that you want to hand it to, and then there's the you being able to let go and to make someone grow into that task so they can do it ultimately as well as you do. And for all, as you say, it takes time for them to grow into the job or into the role, but you have to be patient to be able to allow them to do that. And a lot of solopreneurs, when they start to move into developing a team, hover, babysit, don't really let go. They don't allow that growth so that they can get it off their desk. Good point, Pharrell. Appreciate that. So that's my challenge. What I'd love you to do is to think about this for yourself. And as the week goes on, drop a comment or drop comments into the group so we can hear how you begin to identify solopreneur think. And when you're starting to go beep, beep, I have to shift to CEO think. I'd love to hear that, because I'd love to hear your process for how you start moving over. It's really like retraining a muscle, right? You have to serve 1,000,000 tennis balls before you get your serve down. It's like that. You have to practice this thinking so it becomes your default, not how can I get it all done. So it's flexing a new muscle and altering your default mode. So here's some suggestions for those of you who are saying, it's just me. I can't get anybody else involved. In this pandemic shelter-in-place nutty thing that we're going through right now is the perfect time to start bringing some help, because so many people don't have anything to do. And you might be able to bring in an intern, either at a low cost or at no cost, to help you do your social media. You might be able to bring in a family member. You might be able to bring in, go to Upwork or Fiverr and find someone to even do just a specific task that you need to have done. It doesn't have to be an ongoing thing. You don't have to commit to 30 hours a month. Maybe it's a specific task that you want taken off your desk. Start thinking in terms of, what can I get off my desk, and who can I Who can I get to do it for me? Right now, think really creatively, because there are a lot of people out there who have time on their hands, who probably have skill sets that you're not aware of, who would be delighted to be working with you, again, for low cost or for no cost. Interns, I've had interns working with me on social media that were fabulous, that really wanted the field experience. So that's one idea. I've got a kid in a 22-year-old who's fabulous with social media. He has helped me. He's helped me with videography. He's helped me with a lot of things. Bring him in, bring him in. So you weren't doing it all. Think creatively about that. So we talked about three things. We talked about solo versus CEO think. We talked about that challenge. I really do want to hear back from you about when you are in solopreneur think, catch yourself, and how you get yourself into CEO think. I'd love to hear that from you. And then the third is altering your default mode and trying to use this time to bring someone else in. So that's what I wanted to cover specifically. Create that picture of solopreneur think versus CEO think. I hope that's clearer to you. I also want to say again, this is critical to growing your business. It's probably one of the few keys that's going to allow you to become successful in growth mode. If you don't make this shift, you're never going to grow. I can say that from experience, because when I started developing the Solo to CEO program, I ran a banging business. I was a media buying agency. I had 3 people working full time for me. I still behaved like a solopreneur, and I was drowning. So I know I've been through this, and I know that what it takes to get out of that is shifting your mindset to really be thinking like the CEO and becoming the CEO. So a few things I want to announce. Hearts, good hearts, thank you. Okay, a few things I want to call to your attention. On May 25th, I'm doing the next launch of my Solo to CEO Launchpad. This is my 5-day free workshop in the group where I take you through the exact steps that I take my clients through to make the transformation from solopreneur, hair on fire, I can't stand this anymore, I can't grow my business, to walking them through the steps that it takes to become the true CEO. It is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't flick a switch. So I've developed this 5-day process, this 5-day workshop that I take you through, where I expose you to what those 5 steps are. And so that starts May 25th. It happens in the group every day at noon. If you have taken the Launchpad before, come on back in, because this is all new content. There's a whole new workbook. And so if you've taken it before, come on back, sign up, because it's a whole different experience. I've had such great feedback on the Launchpad. So I just want to invite you. This is the way to get yourself into CEO mode quickly and prepare yourself for what's going to happen when this shelter in place lifts, because your business is going to start coming back to life, and you want to make sure that you're ready, not stuck in solopreneur mode. So the link to join is in the description, which you'll find once I file this video away. So that's one thing I'd like to invite you to come join. Second is, I'd love to know more about you. Call and schedule. There's a link up there to schedule a call. Let's have just a 10-minute call so I can get to know people better. I'd love to know you. So let's get up 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm just going to talk to you about understanding more about your business, where you are in solo versus CEO think, to see where you are and if I can help you, but mostly just to get to know you better, because as the group is getting bigger and bigger, I don't want to lose track or touch with the people who are in the group. So that's it for me. Who has comments? Anybody? Anybody you want to add? Anything you want to add? No, I don't see any comments. So if you're watching the replay, again, drop comments in the comments section. I always circle back, be happy to continue the dialogue with you in the comments later on when you have a chance to listen. And as always, thanks for coming, and have a great day. Talk to you soon, everybody.